Good morning. So, the message today it says, be kind to one another. Be kind to one another. Now, let's read in the book of Matthew chapter 7 verse 12. Matthew chapter 7 verse 12. In everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you. For this is the law and the prophets. I'll repeat. Matthew chapter 7 verse 12. In everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you. For this is the law and the prophets. Now let's go to Luke chapter 6 verse 31. Luke chapter 6 verse 31. Luke chapter 6 31. 31. Treat others the same way you want them to treat you. Now let's go to 38, the same Luke chapter 6, now 38. Give and it will be given to you. They will pour into your lap a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For by your standard of measure, it will be measured to you in return. Now, we want to look at this story. We learn of David and Mephibosheth, okay, in that 2 Samuel chapter 2. We want to hear what David did. Okay? So this message, it's all about reflecting to those people who have been kind to you or to me. Now, in many ways, some of us, maybe the situation you are into now, maybe there is someone who took you to school, someone maybe who paid for your school fees, maybe someone suffered for you to be here now and enjoying this life. So what have you done in appreciation to that person? Like David did. What have you done to appreciate? Maybe it's your mother. How she labored for you to be this, for you to be even healthy, strong today. What have you done to her? Or maybe it's your father who labored. Or maybe your uncle. He took you to school, nursed you up. What have you done to him in appreciation? Now let's go to that book of 2 Samuel and then hear what David did. So 2 Samuel chapter 9, starting from verse 1 to 13. Then David said, is there yet anyone left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake? Now, David, when he was a king, after being restored as a king, then David sat down, he looked around the things that he enjoyed, and then said, where is there anyone in the family of Saul who is alive, that I may do him kindness for the sake of Jonathan? Now, we will read why for the sake of Jonathan. We will read why David did like that. Now, there was a servant of the house of Saul, whose name was Ziba, and they called him to David. And the king said to him, are you Ziba? He said, I am your servant. The king said, is there not yet anyone of the house of Saul, to whom I may show the kindness of God? And Ziba said to the king, there is still a son of Jonathan who is crippled in both feet. Okay? So King David asked, is there any relative so that I can do him kindness? Then there was a servant called Ziba. They called him. they asked him, is there anyone? He said, yeah, there is a son of Jonathan, but he's crippled. He's lame, both feet is crippled. Okay? So that's what Ziba responded. So the king said to him, where is he? And Ziba said to the king, behold, he is in the house of Micah, the son of Amiel, in Lodebar. Then King David sent and brought him from the house of Micah, the son of Amiel, from Lodebar. Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and prostrated himself. Okay? And David said, Mephibosheth, and he said, here is your servant. Okay? So we're reading that after this, the lame man was brought to King David. And then he was brought when he was both lame. Okay, now 7. David said to him, do not fear, for I will surely show kindness to you for the sake of your father Jonathan, and will restore to you all the land of your grandfather Saul. And you shall eat at my table regularly. Again he prostrated himself and said, what is your servant? That you should regard a dead dog like me? Imagine this Mephibosheth was neglected. Everyone looked at him, oh, this one is just a beggar, is lame, maybe asking alms, begging. What is, people don't care for him. But when David became king, because of what Jonathan did to him, he remembered, is there any relative of Jonathan that I can do him good? Now, today, what we do today, we must remember that God will reward us in a way that we don't know. So, you don't have to expect that maybe, if let's say for example, you give someone and then you want him to return again and give you. No. Maybe his children will do that to your own children. So this is what David did. Jonathan showed kindness to David, but instead of David showing kindness directly to Jonathan, he showed it to his children. So today it might be that you can maybe help someone. Maybe someone is begging. You saw in the city beggars. Maybe it's a blind begging. Some of us, we don't want even to give them. But you don't know that giving you give, God, maybe after even 5 years or 10 years, or after 3 years, you have forgotten about it. God, you just use someone else to reward you for what you did. So this is the way God works. Whatever that we do, God always rewards. So this is the case of David helping Mephibosheth, someone who is neglected, someone who is lame. Everyone is talking bad about, oh, look at this one. The father was king. The father was king, but look at him now, he's begging. But God remembered him through David. So even it's a challenge to every one of us. Whatever you are doing today, just know that God is watching. Someone, maybe your friend or your neighbor, maybe someone doesn't have clothes to come to church. Someone doesn't have shoes to come to church. That help you do to that person, God will, in your own way, in the way that you don't even know, you just find yourself that you have a bad situation. Maybe you don't have anyone to help you, but suddenly you just see someone coming, maybe helping you. Maybe you say, this is really God. I didn't have maybe transport to go to the city. Someone just come and say, here is money. You just wonder, who told this person that I need maybe transport to go to the city? but you forget that God has touched the heart of that person because of what you did maybe 3 years ago. So this is what Jesus Christ said. Do to someone what you want them to do to you. The help that you give someone, your friend, your neighbor, God, in another way, He will do it in the way that you don't even expect. So this is the message. Be kind to one another. That's the message of Jesus Christ. Say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. The 10 commandments, Jesus Christ made it into 2 commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. Number 2, love your neighbor as yourself. So, do to others what you want them to do to you. Okay. Now, before we finish this, let's first hear the story, what Jonathan did to David, for David to show kindness to Jonathan. Okay? Let's go in the book of 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 1. Now, Saul told Jonathan his son and all his servants to put David to death. But Jonathan, Saul's son, greatly delighted in David. Okay. Now, before we read, let me just tell you a story so that you get it, you understand it. When Saul was king, okay, then that time they were fighting with the Philistines. Okay. So fighting the Philistines, killing them. Now there was a giant by the name of Goliath. I think we all know Goliath. So this Goliath was the giant that all the army of Israel feared him. He was a giant. He said, give me anyone to fight me. If that person defeats me, then we will be your slave. But if we defeat you, you will be our slave. Okay. So all the army of Israel were afraid because he was a giant, tall, maybe from here until the roof. So the spear, his spear, maybe 2 people were holding his spear, just a spear. It's very tall and giant. So King Saul said, whoever will defeat this giant, whoever will defeat and kill him, I will share half of my kingdom and I'll give him my daughter to marry. So all the army were afraid. All the soldiers of Israel were afraid because he was a giant. So now, one day, David was just a shepherd. So he went, because his brothers were part of the army, the soldiers of that Israel, that time. So the father, by the name of Jesse, the father of David, sent David to go and take food to his brothers and see how they are doing. So when he went there, he saw this giant bragging, shouting, hey, who can defeat me? You Israelites, you say you worship the God, your God is so powerful. Why can't your God produce someone so powerful to defeat me? This giant bragging, boasting. So when David heard this giant, because David knew how God protected him when he was shepherding the sheep, when he was taking care of the sheep, when a bear came up trying to eat the sheep, he had that string, the catapult string, had stones, and then he killed the bear. So by the name of the Lord, he knew that even this giant, I can defeat him. Okay. So after this, for many days, this giant was bragging. Everyone is afraid. David said, my God will save me. I'll kill this giant. Everyone says, oh, no, you cannot do it. All these trained soldiers, they are afraid. How about you, just a shepherd? Can you kill this giant? Say, I'll kill the giant. People say, they report to King Saul, there's a shepherd who said he wants to fight this giant. Say, really? Okay, give him my shield, the shield of the king, the helmet and the sword and the hammer, so that he can protect himself. David tried to put on, trying to move, it's heavy, because he was just a small boy, a youth. So he said, no, this is heavy for me, remove them. So he took them out. And then he just took 5 stones. And then he took his slingshot. Okay. So this giant comes, looking at David, looking small, underrating him, said, "You give me a dog to fight me? You, Israel, you don't have someone to challenge me. You are giving me a baby to fight me? Look at this." They are bragging with the entire army of Philistines. David said, "My God will defeat you." Okay. So, took the stone, one stone, hit where the eyes, because it's all covered, but now the body is covered with all the armor protection. So in the forehead, the stone hit there, and then giant fall down. David ran to the sword and cut his head. People celebrating. And then they defeated the Philistines. So now after that, women and children were singing, "Oh, King David, King David." Now this is what brought the problem. The women and the children started singing, "King Saul killed thousands of people, but David killed 10,000 of people." So when the king heard that, what? He just killed one man, the giant, but women and children, everyone is singing, "David killed many than me." So he became jealous, and then he wanted to kill David by that. So this is the story so that you understand. So, but now Jonathan, the son of the king, he loved David because everyone, they say, "Oh, now we have peace." This army of Philistines really bothered us so much, insulting us. So now, if someone has defeated him, everyone was happy. But him, the king, said, "Because of this, maybe he will take over my throne." Because all the people are chanting, "He's the champion, he's the champion." So this is now, he wanted to kill David. Now let's go back to our chapter here. Now Saul told Jonathan his son and all his servants to put David to death. But Jonathan, Saul's son, greatly delighted in David. So Jonathan told David, saying, "Saul my father is seeking to put you to death. Now therefore, please be on guard in the morning and stay in a secret place and hide yourself. I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak with my father about you. If I find out anything, then I will tell you." So when King David said, "We have to kill this David," King Saul said, "We have to kill this David." But Jonathan, because he loved David, he told him, "Do you know, David, my father is planning to kill you. So you need to hide in the field. Early in the morning, I'll stand trying to talk to my father. So I'll signal you. If my father wants to go this way where you are, maybe I'll signal him to go this side." So he protected David. So by that act, David, after Saul and Jonathan were killed in the army by these Philistines, David said, "I will show kindness to Jonathan. Even if Jonathan is dead, but I want any relative of Jonathan because he protected me, he saved me. I want to do kindness." So this is the message today. Whom have you shown kindness that you want kindness in return? Whom have you shown kindness? You see someone maybe in the street begging, asking you. You even have something to give that person. It's a beggar is asking you. Sometimes you don't know that Jesus may pretend to be a beggar to you to test you as a Christian. And you say, they just go and do drugs, and if I give them, they'll go and smoke, they'll go. Do you know that? And then you want kindness. You want, "God, I want you to bless me." Whom have you ever shown kindness to? Like this man, that you want God to show kindness to you. Your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. Or maybe, do you also appreciate those who showed kindness to you? They took you to school, they educate you. Some of us, maybe it's our parents, they take us to school, you start working, you are working good job, not even any money to say, Mom, Dad, thank you for educating me, nothing. Nothing, not even appreciating, like the way David did. Because if David wanted to say, I'm now a king, no need, so is dead, no need, I'm just a king now. But he said, no, what Jonathan did to me, I have to reciprocate it, okay? Show kindness. I have to show kindness. Even if Jonathan is dead, but any relative who is living, I have to show kindness to that person. And this is what he did. And then they just told him, no relative is surviving. We just know one beggar is lame. All his feet is lame. His name is Mephibosheth. Don't worry, King David, don't worry. It's just like a mad dog. No one cares for him. He's lame. Say, no, I want him. Call him. From today, every day, you'll be eating on my table. Whenever I'm eating, you'll be eating on my table. I'll give him everything that belonged to his father. How about you and me? Do we do that? If we reflect our lives, how many have we helped? That we want God also to return that help to us. 2, how many people do we show kindness to? So these are the 2 questions that we need to ask ourselves. Number 1, how many have you helped? I'm not saying help the pastor. No. Your friend, your neighbor, even those people who beg. Those people in the streets who beg. You have money, you don't want to give them. You have even not money, maybe food, you don't want to give them. Maybe sometimes even not that, even just encouragement, you don't encourage them. Someone maybe is broken-hearted, you even hear your heart saying, speak to him, but you say, you have fear, maybe he will insult me. You have that fear. That person maybe at the end of the day commits suicide or does something evil. Then you want God in return to bless you. How is that possible? Second question, whom have you shown kindness to? Or do you appreciate those people who showed kindness to you, like David did? Your uncle, or maybe it's your cousin who took care of you. Maybe after your parents died, took care of you, take you to school, educate you, everything. Now you are working. Do you appreciate that person? Do you do that? Or maybe it's your boss, the company is just good to you, others rejecting, maybe he employs you, is so kind to you. It's just good to appreciate. I thank you, appreciate. So because we lack appreciation, that's why it's very impossible even people to go to church. Just the life that we have. Many people today are dead. Just this life. To say, God, I thank you. By saying that, it shows that you are asking God to do more. Say, God, thank you. It's not because I'm smart. It's not because I'm intelligent. It's not because I'm strong enough to be alive. But it's by your grace and your mercy. I cannot do it by myself. That's why we come to church and we appreciate God. But because of lack of appreciation, many people today don't go to church. Imagine working us every day. Now, what does it show? Even okay, let's say, for example, you are a God. Okay, you are God. Okay, you are a parent. You are doing something to your children every day. They are not appreciating your effort. How do you feel? Today, you give your son maybe books. Tomorrow, you give your son cake. That day, you give maybe 1,000 pesos. That day, maybe you You buy maybe a bicycle for him, maybe you buy a motorcycle. He's not saying thank you. As a parent, what do you feel? How do you feel? Ungrateful child, right? Now, how do we expect God feels? We don't thank him. We just sit at home, doing nothing. Yet he's giving us life. The food that we eat is no one's strength. It's not because I work so hard. No, it's by God's grace, by God's mercy that we are even eating, we are even dressing, we are even walking, we are even breathing. It's by his grace. Do we just take time to say, thank you, Jesus? So this is why, look at all over the world, people today, on Sunday, they are going to drink. On Sunday, they are going to have cockfight. On Sunday, they are going to do maybe gambling. On Sunday, they are going to do whatever they want. They cannot appreciate God. So we need to learn from this story of David, what he did to Mephibosheth. There's a lesson here that do to others what you want them to do to you. These are the words of Jesus Christ. See, the same measure that you do is the same measure that you also do to you. If you give maybe clothes that are torn, maybe something that you don't use, that's what you're giving your friend, your neighbor. Use this, go to church. God also will give you something that doesn't care for you. That's the message. That David, he said, I will restore everything that belongs to your father. You eat at my table every day. He said, me? A dog? Someone they regard as a dog? Say, yes, because of your father Jonathan, what he did to me, he protected my life. So for that, I will also reward you. Okay. So I just want to make this message short. God bless you all. Thank you for understanding. God bless you.